Anthropic just released their most powerful Claude model, and it's called Fable 5. You can now give it extremely complex tasks and watch it work until it finishes the job. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can use this new model, and I'm going to show you some real-life examples so you can see how good this model really is. So let's start off with what's actually new about this model and how it compares to everything else out there on the internet. So Claude Fable 5 is a Mythos class model, and Mythos was previously a model that they would not release to the public because they were claiming that it was too powerful and that it has capabilities in cybersecurity and biology that, when misused, can cause serious issues. So think of Fable 5 as Mythos 5, but with guardrails. So basically what they did is every time someone tries to ask it a biology or cybersecurity related question, the model will just flip back to Opus 4.8. Now, as you can see, based on these benchmarks, it is state of the art at pretty much everything. Now, even though some benchmarks don't actually portray the capabilities of these models exactly accurately, having a ton of them helps you realize which model is good and which is not. So some things that it really improved on compared to previous models is agentic coding, spatial reasoning, which Claude models used to not be as good at. This model is really good at it. So understanding of space, images, things like that. Tool use is a really important capability of a model because if it can call a bunch of different tools, it can do a bunch of different tasks for you. And it's also really good at multidisciplinary reasoning, which means that it can reason about a ton of different problems and a variety of things, so it doesn't get stuck when you ask it a complicated question. Now, some of the things that Anthropic released about the model is that it beat Pokemon Fire Red only using its vision capabilities. So what they did is pretty much put the game on the screen for the model and had the model just go through it and try to beat the game, and apparently it did. It can also create different simulations like solar systems and predicting solar eclipses. And this model is also really good at biology, so it helps some scientists accelerate some drug design process by around 10 times. So Claude Fable 5 is currently available everywhere today, and you can use it, I can use it, and anybody who wants to in the US can use it. Now, when it comes to Mythos, which is the non-safeguarded version, that is only available to enterprises that work specifically with Anthropic, and it's guarded to make sure that there's no cybersecurity threats coming from that model. So now that we know how good the model is, let's get into it. So what we want to do is go to anthropic.com and click try Claude. Once we click that, we can either use the browser or download their app. I recommend downloading their app because then Claude can have access to the stuff on your computer and do a lot more complicated things for you. Once you sign in and open up the Claude app, you'll be greeted with this page. It'll say some sort of greeting and your name. And within the Claude app, we have a lot of different things we could do. So this is our main chat box. Here we can select the model. Fable 5 is right here. So we can select it. And this is just a chat bot. So this will not be able to do too many things on your computer, but it can answer a ton of different questions. So if you have questions for Fable 5, you can ask it and it will reply. Now here under the model selector, we also have our effort, which we can select low, medium, high, extra, and max. I typically go between high and extra because max just burns through your usage, and high and extra give you good enough result. Now here on the left side, we have our chat, our Cowork tab, and our code tab. Now Cowork is pretty much for any work related stuff you want to do on your computer. So you can turn on Fable 5 right here. And inside Cowork, you can have Claude create spreadsheets, documents, videos, slides, presentations, even websites, anything you need for your work. Next, we have Claude Code. So click right here to open up Claude Code. And in Claude Code, this is pretty much where Claude can go wild and control your computer, create different programs, code apps, create landing pages. It can even create video games. For example, yesterday I saw a YouTuber, his name is Theo, and he created a multiplayer racing game just with Claude, and apparently him and his team were playing it for hours. So yeah, the possibilities with Fable 5 are pretty much endless. Anything you could come up with and think of, as long as you could put it into words, you can create it. Now I ran a couple of tests to show the capabilities of Claude Fable 5, and the first test I did was take a bunch of pictures of the office and try to have it create a 3D version of it. So first I uploaded 17 images and told it to create pretty much everything within the office, and it asked me some questions. Ran into an issue where there were too many requests. That was also when I ran out of my plan, so I had to upgrade. Then I gave it some instructions on where each room is and a floor plan, and after 4 prompts, this is what it came up with. So let's start right here. So this right here is where the entrance would be. This is where you're seeing me right now filming, and I could use my keyboard and mouse to walk around the office. So the purpose of showing you this is is that the capabilities of Fable 5 are absolutely insane. This room right here is right there next to me if I'm pointing that way. And we have another film room right here with a board and a guitar. Oh, it even got the guitar. I didn't even know that. And then right here we have the main room in our office. No risk, no Rari. That's actually one of the posters that's on there. We have our sink, a table, and some computers here. And then we have a little warehouse in the back. So it got it honestly pretty accurate. I think if I uploaded a floor plan, it would be a lot better, but this is like extremely accurate to how the office actually looks like. Now, from something like this, the possibilities are endless. You can even create a virtual workspace for your employees. If you have employees overseas or anything like that, they could log into an app and just be in here virtually. Now, we also have a B-roll style feature that I added. This was all just after 4 prompts. I'm sure we can improve it, but yeah, this is pretty much like a small office tour. And the original purpose of why I asked it to do that and why I was interested in having that is so we can create different sets and mock them up in 3D. So if I want to create a film set in one of the other rooms, I can tell Claude to add 2 desks, a camera, a lighting setup, some decorations in the background, and anything else I want to, and then I could preview it before I buy all the supplies. Now, the next test I ran with Claude is I asked it what it knows about AI SaaS motion design promo videos. So you actually might have gotten one as an ad on this video somewhere. But yeah, those videos are pretty much motion design videos where a company could showcase a feature of their app or their website or anything new they launched. So typically you'll see some typing in the video, some user interfaces and things like that. So I told Claude to kind of showcase its abilities when it comes to just making those videos out of code. After I prompted it, it asked me a couple of questions. So this is a tip. If you're using this for the first time, you can tell Claude to do something for you, like create an app or obviously make a video like this. And you can also ask it to ask clarifying questions, which will have the model ask you different questions if it's confused and anything that you want it to do. So then I just pretty much told it to go wild and do what it thinks it's best. And this is what it came up with. So I matched the music and the beat to the actual UI rendering. It shows how it can fix the different frames when it makes the videos. Then it shows how it can make a song and render the actual video out. Every frame of this film was made by Claude. Crazy. So this was just me telling it to go wild. And after seeing that, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Let's actually try to make one for my own startup. So I gave it some pictures of my UI, some thumbnails that I had. And since the tool I want to showcase is our thumbnail generation feature, I pretty much told it to make a video about that. And after giving it some resources and telling it that I don't like the music in the first thing that it made, this is what it came up with.
This is where every video lives or dies. The feed doesn't care how good your video is, until something stops the thumb. Hook's agent knows the anatomy of a click. Describe your video, drop in a reference. The agent designs, edits, and rebrands until it earns that stop. Make the scroll stop. Hooked AI.
Crazy. This is just from a couple of pictures of my website and some thumbnail examples that I gave it. So yeah, this is makes you think. This model is a lot better than anything else I've seen before, and I use these 24/7. So the capabilities of this are endless. Now, a couple of rules that I try to follow when I'm using Claude Code is to work in a project. So when you click a new session, what you want to do is go right here and you can open a folder. And if you're working on a new project, you can just create a new folder and then start typing the task or question that you want Claude to deal with. And honestly, up till now, I've been using Codex 5.5 since it was better than Opus 4.5678. And I think that Fable might make me change that. Now, also in Claude Code, you can automate some tasks. So you can go to your routines right here and you can click on new routine, either local or remote. So local run on your computer and remotely will run on the cloud. Then you can describe your routine right here. And this one is an example from another video that I did. So basically the purpose of this routine is to generate prompts for GPT Image 2 in order to make some ads for a business. So the way to think of this is anything that you do on a weekly basis, daily basis, even a monthly basis, and you do it on your computer, Claude can probably do that for you if it's some sort of task that's repetitive. So all you have to do is tell Claude what the task is and have it come up with an automation for it. Now, another really good thing about Claude is that you can click customize right here, and they have a lot of connectors. So what that means is that you can connect a lot of different apps onto your Claude. And what this does is it gives Claude access to the things within those apps. So I have Asana connected, Google Drive, PostHog. This is for monitoring the status of a lot of things within my app. GitHub is for my coding integrations, and Claude and Chrome basically lets Claude use Chrome on your computer. Now, if you click right here to browse the plugins, you can see that they have hundreds of them. And the thing is, if there's not a plugin for something that you want, you can also have Claude Code make one for you. And some of the connector partners that Anthropic has for Claude Code that Fable 5 can use are Canva, Figma, Microsoft, Notion, Hyperframes by HeyGen, which is a way to create videos, Atlassian, Slack, Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, so on and so on. And there is just so many of them. So yeah, honestly, think of this as a partner on your computer that could do pretty much anything you need it to, as long as you give it the right instructions. Now let's do a quick test with you guys, since you're mostly business owners, entrepreneurs, founders, creators, and people getting into entrepreneurship. I guarantee that almost every single one of you will need a landing page of some sort. So let's have Fable 5 create one. Okay, so I said create an extremely beautiful landing page for a new headphone brand. Should be relatively minimalistic with a lot of motion using GSAP and 3JS. So GSAP and 3JS are different frameworks that people use for motion design in their websites, or some 3D motion in their websites as well. I said the color palette should feel light and luxurious. Let's call the brand Academy. So imagine that we're making headphones for some reason, and let's have some cool scroll effects. And I told Fable to treat it as if it is the creative director of the brand, and its job is to make the website super beautiful and elegant. And I said it should feel also premium and luxurious like a professional did it. And I told it to use as many skills off the internet as it needs to. So let's run this and see what it comes up with. So after working for about 17 minutes, oh my God, this is kind of crazy. Hold on. So after working for about 17 to 18-ish minutes, Claude basically said, I love the brief as a creative director for Academy. Here's my vision: ivory and bone tones, champagne metal accents, huge editorial serif typography, and a structural 3D headphone floating through the page as a single hero object, choreographed entirely by this scroll. So kind of like Bang & Olufsen meets Copenhagen Fashion House. Very interesting. And as you could see, it's still working and checking a lot of things, but it came up with the first version of this and it looks kind of crazy. I'm going to refresh it and let you guys just, well, hold up. Before I even do that, Claude is scrolling through the page and taking screenshots to see what it did right, what it did wrong, and how it could fix it. So this is another feature that Fable is really good at, which is checking its work. When I did all my tests yesterday, it went on for, honestly, I think the longest task I gave it took like about an hour and a half without me interfering at all. And it could just keep going and test things until it likes the output it gives you, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, if we just copy this and open it up in our browser, this is the landing page it came up with, even with the intro. And then if I scroll down, it moves the headphones through the page. Obviously, you can upload a picture of any headphones that you want and just put it in there. But this is really crazy. And oh wow, we got the ivory color, we have champagne color, and as you keep scrolling, it changes the color of the headphones. We are not in the business of louder, we build for the closed eye. The first note, the room that quietly disappears. The first edition, begin listening. Enter your email right here. This is honestly, I'm mind blown with this. As you can see, I'm kind of lost for words, but this is just off of one prompt and it's really, really, really nice. I think this is something that previous models were struggling with, and honestly, the word for that is taste. I think all the previous models did not have taste, but something feels really different here. So I recommend that you mess around with things, test them, iterate, figure out what you like, what you don't like, what the model is good at, what the model is not not good at. And yeah, if you want to see more AI videos, business related videos, or finance videos, we have a ton on this channel. So please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment what else you want to see. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.